you know, you mentioned you can say whatever you want about white men. And let's be honest, you can say things about certain groups of people that you can't say that about others. Is that sustainable?
No, I don't think it makes sense to talk about people in a way that you wouldn't accept yourself, because human psychology means for every action, there is a reaction and there's a consequence. So if people feel like one group is allowed to get away with a certain type of behavior that another one isn't, that's not going to work well. You know, it's not at all, because not everybody is not everybody is versed in racial history or racial politics. Not everybody cares. We can't make everybody care. So no matter what your justification is for why you believe it's okay to completely denigrate an entire demographic, there will be a consequence to that. So if you want to do it, go for it. But what I would ask is, it's not constructive. And if you want to be constructive and helpful for the people that you wish to help, this might be a way that you are, you know, completely sort of being self-defeating there.
Oh, wow. So you're saying #KillAllWhiteMen isn't constructive?
You know, it might not be the best PR campaign. You know, it might not.
The thing that I worry about when they do things like that, or, you know, someone tweets, oh, it's just another old white man, is essentially you're dividing the races. You're creating a divide between the races. So there are going to be people who look at that and go, well, you know what? I'm not going to listen to what you say anymore because I'm white, therefore I'm wrong. And then you've got a small, very toxic minority who look at that, rub their hands with glee and go, we can create division here.
Yeah, exactly. I think people underestimate how much people want to be heard and how much people want to belong. It's part of the reason why we have this ideology that is so sort of, dominant in the mainstream right now, because to not be a part of that is to isolate yourself and potentially leave yourself open to accusations of fascism, racism, all of the phobias. And so when you are telling people that they can't speak because of their skin color, or when you're speaking about someone in a way that you would no way have within yourself, you don't recognize that you also are radicalizing people. You're pushing people over to a certain side, because if people no longer feel, let's say, that they have a voice on the left and people don't want to listen to them on the left, they will go somewhere else. I mean, the argument to that is, well, I guess if they could so easily be swayed, then they were never true leftists. And I don't think people are truly appreciating human psychology there. You know, we want to be heard.
But it's also, I mean, you say it's so easy, if they so easily move to the left. It's not easy. It's taken some people 10 years to make the journey from being, oh, I'm super lefty, to, oh, wait, shit, like on this particular issue, I'm just not wanted. I mean, look at J.K. Rowling right now, right? Little Miss Lefty all the time, you know, all the right opinions, you know, all the right causes, supporting all the stuff. There's one issue, and this is what I've been talking about for some time. They will always find a way in which you don't fit. And so that journey, it's not been like, oh, this, you know, it's so easy to get people to move. It takes a hell of a lot of badgering and battering and, you know, offending and whatever to get people to make that transition. And I see that, I think we see that happening right now. A lot of people, you know, with J.K. Rowling is a good example. A lot of people are going to be on her side now, in a way that they might not have been before, because you're forcing them to make a choice between what they know to be true and what they think is the right thing. Am I?
No, you're right there. Maybe what I meant is it's so easy as I meet so many more young people who almost see being on the right as like quite a counterculture thing to do, you know, which is interesting because, you know, like conservatism, you know, sort of symbolizes tradition and, you know, and keeping the order. So it's not necessarily the most rock star thing to do, you know, but a lot of young people are sort of seeing it that way now. And so I think maybe for them, it may be easier. In J.K. Rowling's case, yeah, I think people do, people who believe they have the good politics, people who believe they are the good people, they are way too quick to assume nefarious intention to anybody that doesn't share their beliefs. And it's going to be a downfall. It's not constructive. And it's manipulative, I think. I think it's very manipulative to call all disagreement hate. You know, there used to be a time where we would acknowledge and accept that, let's say, if you were religious, you probably didn't really believe in homosexuality. You know, you didn't believe that those people had a right to marry. You disagreed with them, but you didn't necessarily think they hated you. You just thought, well, this is their religion, this is their belief, you know, but we can't seem to do that anymore. You know, the gender issue and the transgender discourse mainstream at the moment is complicated, if some might say, and some might say it's quite simple, you know, but however, the idea that sex and gender are separate is something I think majority people probably still believe in. You know, because if you don't spend your time on Twitter and if you haven't got like, you know, a gender studies degree, and if you know, aren't sort of reading a lot of the contemporary gender texts, then you probably will think this. And so to assume that anybody who wants to fight for that category is hateful, well, then, you know, you're going to be thinking about that's a lot of black people. You know, like that's a lot of Muslim people. You know, that's a lot of people that we also, on one breath, say that we want to help and that we should protect. You know, and so I think, especially on that issue, as it is very contentious, people have to start listening to each other. And I think as long as you are accusing each other and calling people names and trying to smear reputations, it's not conducive to the movement. It's not conducive to the trans children that you believe are vulnerable. I don't think it's just not productive. You know, that's what I deal with. I don't necessarily often care necessarily too much about like whether it's right or wrong, because that can be subjective to lots of different people, but what's constructive? And I don't think, as we can quite clearly see, everything that's been happening in that area has been very constructive.